Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Stamp duty reform should be on the Victorian agenda June 13, 2022, 9:17 p.m. Save login, register or subscribe to save articles for later. Share normal text size, larger text size, very large text size 104. View all comments. Economist Ken Henry famously derided stamp duty on housing transactions as a diabolical tax, clumsy, inequitable, antiquated and a drag on the economy. The case against it is overwhelming. It adds another impediment for first home buyers. It encourages current homeowners to overinvest in larger properties by renovating and enlarging rather than moving. Economist Ken Henry in 2019 credit, Louis Duvis. It punishes those homeowners whose circumstances, such as divorce, force them to sell and buy again. It discourages downsizing, which would free up larger homes for growing families. More broadly, economists deride its effect on the labor market, discouraging homeowners who might otherwise move suburbs or states for work. Indeed, in their seminal 2010 report into Australia's tax system, Henry and his colleagues were unequivocal about stamp duty. It had to go. In its place, they recommended some form of ongoing land tax. Only the ACT listened, embarking in 2012 on a 20-year transition to replace stamp duty with higher property rates. In Victoria, despite the strong case for reform and constant pleas from all manner of lobby groups and industry bodies across the political spectrum, our governments have not put forward an alternative system. This is largely, we can only assume, for two reasons: their addiction to the enormous contribution stamp duty makes to the budget, about $6.4 billion in the last financial year. And secondly, the widespread view that imposing a new property tax would be politically difficult. At last, though, there may be a path forward, with revelations this week that NSW is planning a radical reform in its final pre-election budget that will allow some home buyers to opt in and pay an annual land tax instead of a one-off stamp duty levy. It is a savvy, if slightly fussy, approach. The top 20% of homes are excluded, for example, that would not affect current homeowners, and is designed to mitigate electoral blowback. Yet when home buyers do decide to avoid stamp duty and pay a land tax instead, it would lock in those properties to the new levy permanently, phasing stamp duty out over time. In the short term, the plan is expected to leave a serious dent in the NSW budget, a shortfall that would have to be made up for by the federal government until land tax payments began to cover the deficit. Encouragingly, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers has already obliquely signaled cooperation could be forthcoming, saying we're prepared to lead a conversation on those sorts of things. Less encouraging is the Victorian response. Sources have told The Age that the state government has been quietly running the numbers on stamp duty reform but has declined to reveal details of that work. At a press conference on Monday, Premier Daniel Andrews refused to address the NSW plan. Last week, Treasurer Tim Pallers similarly declined to say any more than the blandishment that Victoria was ready to work with the Commonwealth and other states to drive productivity improvements and to grow the economy for the benefit of all. Australians are suspicious of tax reform, as former Labor leader Bill Shorten discovered to his peril at the 2019 election when his plans for negative gearing and franking credits were rejected by many who would be affected by them. The NSW plan, while it will not be imposed on existing property owners, is not without political risk for NSW Premier Dominic Perrottet. For Andrews and Pallers, though, this is a gift, an opportunity to not only scrutinise and if necessary improve on the NSW model, but to learn from Perrottet which parts of his proposal might work here. It is time for the government to begin discussing property tax reform with Victorians. If it waits too long, it could hand NSW a competitive advantage. Gay Alcorn sends a newsletter to subscribers each week. Sign up to receive her note from the editor. Thank you for reading The Age. This article is complimentary. Register or log in now to read more articles and unlock extra benefits. No payment required. Read more. Continue with Google, continue with Apple, or email address continue by continuing You agree to your personal information being collected under our privacy policy and accept our terms of use. Hide content.